Welcome to another tactics video. This is volume 2. We're going to be focusing on defense, and I'm going to be showing you guys how I went from being in 10th place within 16 games with 28 goals against, this in season 1, to the now season 2, where I've also played 16 games. I'm in 3rd place, 3 points away from 1st, and only conceding 16 goals on ultimate using difficult sliders. It wasn't just practice, it was also the tactics I use. We're going to be using two main defensive styles, one being the 3-4-2-1 by Ernesto Valverde, which includes some build-up play, and an even more defensive tactic that would be Koeman's 3-5-2. And to emphasize, they both use 3 center backs versus the traditional 2. But real quick before we continue, after this series is over, I'll be making complete individual tactic videos such as Cruyff, Luis Enrique, and Guardiola. So if you don't want to miss out on those, please subscribe. And if you're enjoying this video and you'd like volume 1, also give me a like. So granted, I know that Koeman and Ernesto Valverde are very controversial managers. Some consider them total failures, but there is something to say about how they play defense and their moments of success. So despite the fact that Koeman had a very shaky start, he had conceded 37 goals in 37 games. He did switch tactics using the 3-5-2, which we're going to look at in a little bit. And Koeman went from conceding 1 goal a game to a 0.5 per game. In the case of Valverde, who some also consider him a failure, he did manage to have one of the best defense in history at Barcelona. He even had a season where he almost went undefeated, but did lose in that memorable loss against Osasuna when Messi was not available. All right, so the first thing you want to do is go to team management. Once again, you want to click the L2 button to activate the edit game plans on the upper left-hand corner. We're going to be editing the defensive formation. This is going to be based off Valverde's defensive tactics. Now, Valverde does play a build-up 3-4-1-2. We're going to be using a 3-4-2-1 because of the different style in forward. He had Messi that really changes everything. I'll get into the details in just a little bit. So formation, as I just mentioned, 3-4-2-1, you could take a look of how I distribute the positions. You can see on the upper left, we have a center forward instead of a left wing forward. And we do have Xavi playing a CDM. So the first thing you're going to notice, I have spread out the center backs out wide. Valverde does this because not only are we going to have De Jong dropping back to support the center, our left wing back and right wing back are going to be pushing forward as well as supporting the defense, giving us an option of 5 defenders. So one of the reasons we play a 2-1 instead of a 1-2 because Valverde would use Messi as a false 9 dropping back down the middle, but Lewandowski is not a playmaker like Messi, so I don't use it in that way. So for the defense, under defensive style, we're going to put constant pressure. This is very different than the other formations we're using. Number 1, because this is how Valverde did it. This is how he would create opportunities up top. I did push our defense a little wider. Instead of 50, I went to 60 because our center backs are going to be spreading out wide and we have De Jong cutting down the middle, and we're also going to have support from Xavi in the center. The depth also drops down to 40, so this does change. This has changed. The offense stays the same. We have a slow buildup and possession style. That does not change. Our width is at 70. We always want to be attacking wide. Players in the box, I use 4 here, corners 2, free kicks 2. One of the things I like about this formation is that FIFA has this glitch where usually at the beginning of the game, if the opponent starts out with possession, they have a much higher chance of scoring, or after you score a goal, they come back and score a goal on you, or at the end of the game. So I love to use this formation in order to start a game after I get scored on and at the end of the game. So I do suggest using this tactic in those scenarios. Plus, despite it being a defensive style tactic, I actually do use this on build up play sometimes when everything else is not working because it does give you different options, and I have scored a few goals using this. Now let's take a look at the individual instructions. So Araujo, De Jong, and Koundé will all be playing the same tactics. You can see it right there. Nothing changes. Everything's set to default. Ter Stegen also does not change. Come out for crosses and sweeper keeper. Now Jordi Alba is going to be playing inverted. You can see that right here. His interceptions are normal. His attacking run is going to be set on balance. Sergio Roberto, the same thing. He's going to be playing inverted. Default, default, and default. Xavi, remember, he's playing a CDM instead of interior. Creating an actual 6th defender. Remember, this is a defensive stance. Cuts the passing lane, stay back while attacking, but he remains aggressive in interceptions. Stick to position because we want to really cover that center because our laterals, and he's going to be covering the center for additional support. Pedri, balanced attack, default here, He's going to be covering the wing. He's going to be covering the wing and drifting wide because remember, Alba's going to be inverting in, and Fati, you're about to see, he's going to stay in the center, overloading the middle, giving us Pedri an option out on the wing. Gavi's covering the center, and we'll have something else happening on the right-hand side. We'll get into that. Fati's going to be staying central, playing a false 9, overloading the middle as Pedri moves out wide, and he'll have options with Lewandowski and Jordi Alba. Remember, Jordi Alba's going to be cutting in, overloading that section. Normal interceptions, defensive support is set to default. Now on the other side, even though we do have Sergi Roberto inverting, we're going to have Dembele coming back on defense, staying wide, unlike Fati, and coming short. This because Dembele is really good on one-on-ones. His interceptions are set to default, and support on crosses are also set to default. On this side of the pitch, we're not creating an overload down the center. On this side, Dembele stays wide, Roberto cuts in, and Gavi also stays down the middle. So there's no need to super overload that area. And Lewandowski is going to stay center, play targeted man, which is pretty much his main attacking style. Interceptions normal, and he's going to come back on defense, also help us out. All right, so before we move on, I want to make a note that the base, which is the default, plus these 3 options, they're all meant for attacking, including the one we just saw about Valverde. I still use this to attack because Barcelona is an attacking style team. Most of these tactics are meant for attacking possession play. Now, this ultra defensive stance is the only formation I will be using to actually play exclusively defensively. In what scenarios would I use this one? Let's say it's the end of the game and you're winning and you're about to be eliminated if you concede a goal. I would switch to, if you want to park the bus, but Barcelona style, use this one. Now, this formation is based on the Koeman style defense. I know during Koeman, there was a lot of failures during his tenure, but there was a moment where he did have some success, and that is when he used this 3 in the back, which works really well because the defensive formation I just showed you, we also use 3 in the back. This transitions it very smoothly into the ultra defensive style. The formation here, I use Fati again as a center forward. Right midfielder, that's Dembele. We're going to go over his individual instructions. Pedri and Gavi as interiors. So the reason I don't have Pedri and Gavi playing CDM because of the way I set up the formation. So that's the only reason. Plus, they're going to be dropping back anyway. So now, although Koeman does use a 3-4-2-1 during build-up play, very similar to that of the formation we just went over, he does use a 5-4-1 when defending. Now over here, I translated that into a 5-3-2. We're going to take a look at why. So number 1 reason, we're not focused on build-up play. This is a defensive stance. As you can see here is the line of 5 defenders. Plus we're going to have Pedri and Gavi, Fati and Dembele dropping back, forming a second defensive line. So that's our 4. So we got our 5 line, we got our 4 line, and Lewandowski is that 1 on the top. Now under tactics, I use defensive style drop back. Remember, this tactic is only made for defense. We're actually not attacking here. The width also at 60, because remember, we're also spreading the CBs with Frankie de Jong dropping down. Also, Gavi and Pedri are going to be dropping back, covering that space in between the CBs. The depth drops even lower to 35. Often stays as slow build-up and possession style. That doesn't change. That never does. And here's the width also at 70. Players in the box 3, corners 1, free kicks 1. Very conservative. Now our defensive instructions, Ter Stegen stays the same. Comes out for crosses, sweeper, keeper. Now our 3 center backs, everything stays the same. Default, default, default. All 3. Jordi Alba, unlike our previous formation, instead of inverting, he's going to be overlapping. On this occasion, he's going to stay back while attacking, interceptions on normal, overlapping, and stick to position. On the other side, we're going to have Sergi Roberto doing exactly the same thing. He's going to stay back while attacking, normal interceptions. He's also going to overlap. Remember, we're already overloading the defense down the middle, so we're going to have this coverage on the wing, and he's going to stick to position. So for Pedri, stay back while attacking. Remember, we're creating that second 4-man line in the 5-4-1. Support on crosses is on default. Interceptions on default. He's going to cover the center and stick to position. This is the one stance where he doesn't have the freedom he has in the other stances. Gavi, exactly the same thing. Stay back while attacking. Default, aggressive interceptions, that never changes. Gavi is a very aggressive player. He covers the center and sticks to position. Now Ansu Fati, he's going to stay center because remember, we're creating that second 4-man line. It's going to help him drop back using the false 9. His interceptions are normal, and he also comes back on defense. Dembele, the reason I have Dembele playing a right M instead of a CM or striker like Fati is because it would reduce his stats. So the main reason I have him as a right midfielder is because he does play that position and it doesn't affect, as you can see here, he's playing right midfielder and he's still getting a +3 boost because he's got good sharpness. Now, what I would do and I will do is train Dembele as a right midfielder. He has played that position in real life, and this will even increase his +3 maybe to a +5 or something like that. So we also have him come back on defense. Remember, this is the second line of 4. He's going to come short because it was very good on one-on-ones. Interceptions stay the default, and supporting cross runs also stay on default. Now, Lewandowski, I have his supporting runs on balance, attacking runs on mixed, interceptions set on default, and he also comes back on defense. So if you missed volume 1, that's going to be on your lower left. That one's way more offensive. It's my offensive tactics. And on the lower right, eventually I'll have volume 3, which will be more attacking. But for now, I invite you to check out my career mode where I use these tactics. And don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you have any suggestions, go ahead and hit me up in the comment section. Take care and have a good day.